Hello! Today we're going to make some of my very favorite muffins. They're seedy millet muffins. The first ones I ever had, I was out east traveling and they were from a bakery and I thought, oh man, I've never had millet before, this is wonderful. Those were also with wheat and so we have switched this up. Some years later I found a recipe in Cooking Light using millet and I thought, wow, this is really something if this is now in a mainstream magazine. But today we're going to use millet seeds and millet flour. So I want to talk a little bit about the ingredients. Of course, we have the millet flour. This is the only flour we're using in this recipe. This is from Bob's Red Mill, and this is run on their dedicated gluten-free lines. So that's great to know. It's a light yellow colored flour, and it doesn't have a lot of body and texture on its own. So we're going to add some additional ingredients to oomph it up. We're going to use millet seeds, and these are beautiful yellow, beautiful color. I love that. We're going to use some flax seeds, ground flax seeds. I grind them in my spice mill or my coffee mill. I have one just for grinding seeds. We're going to use dark brown sugar because it has more antioxidants than some other sugars, and this is a great place to use it. It gives it a sort of a caramely molasses, touch of molasses kind of flavor. We're going to use xanthan, really necessary in this recipe. We're going to use baking powder to make it rise, and we're going to use a little salt. So these are the dry ingredients. The wet ingredients are buttermilk, which makes a wonderful tender baked good. Some oil, this is canola oil. You can use any kind of neutral flavored oil that you want. And there's 2 eggs in this recipe. That helps to give it some protein and helps it hold together and not be so crumbly. This, the flaxseed, and the xanthan all help to give it a good texture. Here we have all the tools. We have measuring cups, like we always do. These are dry measuring cups. This is a liquid measuring cup. We have measuring spoons. We have a spatula for mixing it up. We have a whisk for mixing, I'll show you, mixing it up also. We have a scoop. This is not required, but this is fun. If you have one, this is a good place to use it. Otherwise, you can use 2 spoons to get your batter into your muffin tins. We have a couple bowls. This is for our wet ingredients. This is for our dry ingredients. And then, of course, we have the muffin tins and the muffin papers. How about that? Gold. So that's it. That's all you need. Okay, now we're going to mix up the dry ingredients. And we're going to start with the millet flour. And the correct way to measure flour is to lightly get it into your measuring cup. You don't want to pack this down. And I get it up over the top a little bit, and then I take something with a straight edge and level it out and make sure that it goes to all the edges pretty good. And there's a little bit left over. I can put this back into that container when I'm all done. So we have 1 cup of millet flour, and then another. And this is a whole grain flour. I think that's really cool. Alright. Has a lot more nutrition than the refined starches. Okay, that was the most difficult part of that recipe. Alright, so we have the 2 cups of millet flour. Now we're going to put in 1 cup of dark brown sugar. And this is measured differently. This one, you take your measuring cup and you pack the dark brown sugar into your cup like that and kind of smooth off the top. Alright, and then you go, there you go, there's your sugar. Alright, then we have the pretty yellow millet seeds. We have the flax seeds. We have the xanthan, the baking powder, and the salt. There you go. I can see it all. And now we're just going to mix it up with a whisk. Okay, you can mix up pretty well with a whisk, but you'll find that there's probably going to be chunks of dark brown sugar in here. You just smash them with your fingers. And then occasionally there might be a white little ball, and that might be the baking powder. And you want to make sure you want to make sure that you smush those up, because if you get a bite of pure baking powder in your finished muffin, you won't like it. If you get a bite of just a chunk of brown sugar, it's kind of nice. But it's just better to make sure it's all mixed up. So I go through with my fingers and make sure that it's well mixed. It's looking pretty good. Alright, on to the liquid ingredients. Okay, now we're going to measure the buttermilk. Got to shake it a little. And this is liquid buttermilk. You can also get powdered buttermilk, which works really well in this recipe. And then you add the powder to the dry ingredients and water to the liquid ingredients. And it's handy to have that in your pantry. But this is what we're going to use today. And we are going to use a half a cup. So the way you measure liquid ingredients is you have a liquid measure that has some space above your measuring line so that you can carry it around without it spilling. And then you also need to get down to that line. There we go. You can see that that's a half a cup of buttermilk. Okay, so the buttermilk is going into the bowl, and the oil is going into the bowl, and then our 2 eggs. 1, 2, and I have egg stuff on me, so I'm going to go wash my hands. I'll be right back. Okay, we have our buttermilk, our oil, and our eggs in here, and we're going to use the same whisk and whisk it till it's completely mixed up. If you don't have a whisk, you can do this with a fork, but this is quicker. Okay, we're ready to mix the two together. Okay, now we're going to mix the wet ingredients into the dry. And I'm just going to make a little well in the middle, so it goes all in the middle. And scrape out the bowl. I really like these silicone spatulas, they work well for that. Alright, stir it up, super easy. Okay, there you go, all mixed up. We're going to get our batter into our pan, and I'm using the scoop because I just think it's fun. I just pull it along the side and plop it right in there. This is fun for kids too. Okay, we have all of the muffin tins filled, and we're going to let this sit for about 5 minutes to make sure that the xanthan has some time to absorb some of the liquid, some of the buttermilk, and that will help the muffins raise up. And so 5 minutes, and then it goes into a preheated oven at 425, and make sure before you start the recipe that you have preheated your oven. If you've forgotten, then you just wait for the oven to heat up. And then we cook them for between 15 and 18 minutes. So we'll be back when they're all done. This is 21 minutes in my oven. I used to use a pan that was dark brown, and they took a little bit less time. But so it might take a little bit more, a little bit less in your oven. I would check them the first time at 15 minutes. I could tell they weren't going to be done right away then, and I let them go a little bit longer, and they're gorgeous. Gorgeous. I'm going to let them cool a little bit before I try to eat any, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, they're cooler. They're a little bit warm, but I want to show you how beautiful they are in the pretty gold wrappers. And we can open them up just like so. These wrappers rip. That's what you get for fanciness. And show you how they come apart nice and easy. Look at that. They don't crumble. And I want to tell you, my very favorite way to eat these is with peanut butter on them. That is really good. So I hope you have fun with these and love them, and enjoy.